famous chili recipe. Only I didn't start the video soon enough, so you missed some of the beginning. We'll catch you up, don't worry. Lots of onion. Murican. And a child to get in the way. Because that's Murican.
This smells really bad.
Now what are you doing with it?
I'm not using this one.
Gosh, you're a genius.
But I need to wait for a bottle.
Oh, beautiful tears of onion. Do this part fast. You don't cry. Into the pot.
Is that for chili?
It's for chili. Into the pot. Onions. A healthy amount of butter. Some tomatoes and some garlic. And we simmer this down, and then it will go into the pot. Then we'll brown up some meat. Check back in later. The child wants to eat bacon bits. Into the chili they go. This is a deviation from the recipe. It sounds good. So it's good to put some butter and salt, but I'm going to add salt cautiously for now and a lot more later. And then crank the heat up as high as she'll suffer and let this stuff really cook down. And this is good also when you decide to do this on a whim, and so you got to thaw the burger meat, and it takes a little while, but really doing this first helps to caramelize the onions, make them taste really good and delicious and yummy with the garlic down in there. And I like a few tomatoes just for flavor, cooked down with the butter and the garlic and the onions. Very tasty. Himalayan pink salt. Yummy. Precise measurements, of course. And because it's going to end up in there later, and I feel like putting some in now, ye old cayenne pepper. Very precise measurements. Ye old chili. And of course, some cumin. Oh, make a mess. It smells delicious just as it is. I could eat it just like this. Typically I would add this later, but I like to experiment when I cook. It's the best way. And so, the secret ingredient for all good chili is a couple good handfuls of corn. So I'm making an extra large batch this time. I'm going to do about 3. Let's give it a chance to cook off some of the water. And take on some of that buttery flavor. You like corn doggy? I said corn doggy. Everything is cooking down quite nicely. You'll transfer it into the pot with tomato puree and probably save the tomato paste for tomorrow. Haven't decided yet. Like I said, it's an experiment. Rarely do I do it the same way. I just carry along certain aspects of the process to the next time that I find agreeable. Tomato puree into the pot. See how easy that was? Anybody can do this. Put that Big Mac down and start cooking for yourself. You can't see. A little bit of water in the can, you swish it around, get all that goodness out of there, into the pot it goes. Hear that sizzle? That's good. A little bit of char. You see that? I don't know. Let's see if we can get one. Get one. You see a little bit of that good black char on there? That's caramelized goodness that goes into the pot. This is, I think this is cooked down sufficiently. And we're going to throw it in there with the puree and get that going so we can get the meat, which ought to be mostly thawed by now. Thawed enough anyway. Oh, that's tasty. Always sample your work in progress. It's the best part of being the cook. Into the pot she goes. It's that easy, folks. It's that easy. We have a pan. It's hot. Oh, we have some butter. The pan is almost ready for some meat. The pan is warm and the butter is melted and it's almost ready for meat. I would suggest turning the heat down. I had it as high as she would suffer for the onions and tomatoes and corn. Lots of water and that stuff that you need to cook off. The ground beef or sausage if you prefer, or cubed pieces of beef or pork or chicken. You don't have to use ground beef, but it's what I have, and so it's what we'll be using today. But you can make great chili with all kinds of meat. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, I would suggest keeping the temperature down somewhere in the middle range, medium high, for browning your meat. Otherwise, you'll really have to spend a lot of time tending to it. And if you're using butter like I am, you'll have a lot of smoke if you've got the temperature too high. So you don't want that. Keep the heat down kind of lower than we had it a minute ago, not quite full blast, and brown up the meat. You can see here I have the classic Lago beef. I don't know if my Slavic brethren get that in their communist countries or not, but this is how we do it in America, at least sometimes. Like I said, it's what I had in the freezer, so it's what works. Just a note here, I didn't use a ton of butter. This is roughly 27% fat or so it's going to create some good fattiness of its own. If you're using a 97% lean beef or something like that, you're going to want a good stick of butter. Again, depending on on how much chili you're making. I'm making some to freeze away for future enjoyment, so I don't do precise measurements, and you'll notice that never happens. Sometimes I try. It's not worth it. You eyeball it. You see what works. You figure out what goes well, and you chew the meat and spit out the bones. This is meat. It's brown. It's brown ground beef. It's ready for the pot, and we add some beans. And you missed, some of the stirring and the child stealing a chunk because the battery died and we did the charging thing. This is what ground beef looks like when it's browned. It's not hard. Put the Big Mac down and start cooking something for yourself. It's real simple. It's like 1, 2, 3. Whoop. There goes the meat in the pot. All that butter. Yeah, you see that? That butter goes in there too. Lots of flavor.
This.
Stirring meat.
I shoved it in her mouth and this was her.
You're loud. Stirring meat into pot. We'll add some beans in a minute. Don't worry.
Don't worry, because everyone likes beans.
Everybody likes beans. If you don't like, how do you not like beans? Like seriously, if you don't like beans,
Kaylee doesn't like beans.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that. I'm not prejudiced. I don't care if you don't like beans, but we like beans in our chili. We're going to put some beans in there. At this point, it's a good idea to judge the consistency of your chili.
Because if it's too lumpy,
If you want it really thick, go ahead and add a can of paste. I know this is going to boil all night long. Well, not boil. It's going to simmer all night long. So this is plenty thick enough. I'm not going to add paste in this circumstance. But again, no recipe, really. You do it to taste. Now, we put garbanzo beans in our chili. That might seem a little weird, but we love the garbanzo beans. Point being here, rinse your beans off before you toss them in, unless you want that extra bean flavor. I like the flavor of the meat and the onions and the garlic and all that good stuff, but there's nothing wrong with just dumping the beans straight in if you like that hardcore bean flavor. Black beans.
Can I eat one of these sweet balance, right?
You rinse off all the bean sauce.
I need a
Beans go in. And there you go. Chili. It simmers. It's best if you let it simmer hours. 8 hours. 12 hours. A day. This is for tomorrow night. I'm going to eat this up. Actually, I just found out it's not for tomorrow night. We have some other plans we got to do tomorrow night. This is going to be for later. I'm going to sit here for peas porridge hot, 7 days old. I don't know. Point being, the longer you let her sit, the better it tastes. Oh yeah. Final ingredient at this point. Might as well put it in now. What the heck? Get your hands out of the way. It's called cheating. Chili packet, you know, lots of spices and whatnot. Making big batch, it's much easier this way. Plus, this gets good flavor. And Murican power.
Can I do the other one?
Yeah, put that one in. Go ahead, I'll stir.
No, I want to stir too.
You don't get to stir. You put your arm in the way.
You did that earlier when you were cutting. I want to try it.
Alright, stir it up without making a mess. What are you doing? She needs lessons in cooking. That's why she watches.
I'm good at cooking. I had to make mac and cheese for Evie and Charlie and Lily.
Yeah. This is chili.
Chili's good.
Chili's the best. Well, it's great.
Can I eat it?
No.
I want corn.
This is how you stir chili.
Laggard.
Big pot of chili feeds 10 people. Maybe 15. Or feeds my family twice. You know, what are you gonna do? So, because I won't get to eat this right away, we'll do the tasting video a little bit later, but this is the process. I'm going to go ahead and post it now. And in a couple days when we taste the chili, maybe I'll show you a bowl. This is the finished product. It is delicious. I did have a taste. And as always, it's the best chili ever.